And here I am again, back for a second time today. Another quick, cheap and easy. This time the basis of this little journal is one of those boxes that you get on chocolate bars. They're really nice chocolate bars that come in a little sort of sleeve box. So this was one of those. The chocolate was very nice. So the basis is the box, and then I've covered it in some of this, you might have seen this before. I've used, it was a leftover piece of demonstration curtain fabric from one of the major stores here. So I picked it up really cheap and I love it. I love the shine on it, and just used that very simply, fixed it to the box with this zigzag stitching around. I've put a very simple bit of used elastic. I can't remember where I kept that from, but I've put some buttons, sewed them onto a bit of used elastic, and that literally comes off like that, and I've put it underneath this little bit of trim so that it's not lost when you take it off. So if you can imagine, that was the box, that's the size of the box, and that's where it folds in. And the papers that I've used are from again a craft paper booklet that I got very cheap online in a sale. I've made a pocket out of a leftover pocket from Lindsay of Nevermore Creations. That was in a kit. I did a design team project for her, and that was in the kit that I hadn't used. I've made I don't know if I did make that one or if someone gifted me that, I can't remember, but I've put a little bit of oddment of the fabric just to make that into a tag and journaling space. Made a tiny little booklet to go inside with scraps of leftover paper. You can see tiny scraps. The booklet itself, the paper is layers of napkin that are left over from me using the main top part for decoupaging, and I've just glued a few layers together with PVA, and then torn it up to make the cover. And inside I've just had fun. That was like the little edge on there, and I've made a tiny little tag to go in that pocket there. And it's tiny, but you could put little notes in it if you wanted to. Made a little belly band on that and another tiny little notebook. So it's just having a bit of fun with scraps, really. And then the signature isn't sewn in, as you can see. I've just tied round it with the fancy thread yarn, tied round it to keep it together. So that's simply a piece of craft paper from a book. One of the, oh my gosh, me and words. When I get on these videos, honestly, my words are bad enough, but when I get on these videos and look at it, live for the moments you can't put in words, well, there are lots of those for me. So anyway, this was, I think, avocado stained, and it came out quite grey. And then I've made a little, just a cutout of a little heart image, and I've put the oh gosh, sorry, it's like a glimmer stuff, a gel that you buy that kind of adds shine to things. Some notebook paper that comes out to make your notes on. An envelope, the inside of one of those businessy envelopes, which I've made into a tuck spot. That's a leftover image again from Lindsay. an envelope that I've made out of book page, decoupaged some pretty napkin on top, printed out a stamp and stuck that on there, and then inside the envelope you can put notes and stuff. Journaling space on coffee dyed paper. Made that into a pocket. It's got a little printed postcard for journaling on. There's some vintage images that I thought that were left over in a book that I'd used for another project. Some leftover paper. Just because you fail once doesn't mean you're gonna fail at everything. Keep trying, hold on, and always, always, always believe in yourself, because if you don't, then who will? So I really like that saying. Again, that's on a book page, vintage book, another scrap of paper. You know, there wouldn't be much you could do with a scrap of paper that size, but making it into a page there with journaling space is really nice. Some more of the vintage music paper that I've got that I also just decoupaged some napkin onto to pretty it up. This was, I'm making some digital kits at the moment. I'm putting them all together and I'm going to be listing them on Etsy, and this was just one that I was playing around with and printing out to see what it looked like, printing out different sizes, so popped that in there. I really like those. And you see that piece on its own wasn't really big enough to use as a page until I glued it to a bit of coffee stained paper, and then that made that a really good size. An altered paper clip with one of those hearts on that I've made glossy accents, that's what that's called. Little bottle, tiny bottle, that's quite new, but I think it really adds to them. And a little envelope that I've made with, again, leftovers of that lovely craft paper. Pop that in there. You can easily put some journaling notes in there. That's the other side of that image from the book. An image that I'd printed out for another project and then didn't use. So another saying that I really like: a bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking, because her trust is not in the branch but in her own wings. Believe in yourself. Another little tiny booklet, not quite as tiny as the other one, but a small booklet made out of the scraps and leftovers, tucked inside there. Graph paper page there. I made quite a few of these tags out of the music paper. Just added a little bit of matching trim to the top of that. A leftover image that I've made into a little pocket. Made a pocket there. That was again from a bit of Lindsay Zenor's kit that I made the design team project from and hadn't used. Little image off of the internet. I think probably from, I think the tag shape was from Pixel Scrappers and the other images might have been, and then I blended them together. The back part of that envelope, and again I printed out just quite a few little bits to add from kits that I hadn't used yet. Just simply folded over a piece of the craft paper to put into that side pocket. That opens up for journaling space. The other side of the doily, you see, I saw it again and I remember what it's called. So the other side of that doily, machined on to make a pocket there that you can pop something in. Little bits of these glittery bits I think really add to it. I had some of these bits of washi and ribbony sticky ribbon from my dear friend Norma Waters, who had a de-stash herself and passed some of her scrapbooking stuff on to me, so I've made good use of those there. that's an image from a kit, and the reason I didn't use it in the project I was working on was because when it printed out, I sometimes lose the edge of some of these when I print them out, and it's something to do with my printer setup, but I still thought it looked nice, and I don't think it detracts from that image too much, and it makes good use of it as a journaling card. So there, another, it was quick, easy, cheap, because it's using up a lot of odds and ends, and quite sweet to make. I really enjoy making these sort of all different from different leftover bits. So yeah, that chocolate box sleeve, card sleeve, would have usually been thrown away, but there, it's become the basis for that sweet little journal. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.